Hey there, I'm your host Lissawi, and in today's video I'll show you how to create a health system. Now in this health system we won't be binding any values, and if you don't know what binding is, it's essentially when you bind that widget to a value and that value is being updated every single tick. So this isn't the best thing for performance and we can do something about it. And what we'll do is we'll only update the health when it changes. So let me show you how the system looks like. And we can also apply this system to pretty much anything you want. We have a rock, a tree, an enemy. So I'll go ahead and damage the rock. And when it's dead, it'll just get destroyed. Same with the tree. Now, of course, you can have some animations, the tree falling down or the rock breaking apart if you want. And for the enemy, I have a ragdoll. So when they die, they ragdoll, and after 3 seconds, they'll despawn. And same for the player. We have a health system, so I can damage myself, heal myself. And this health bar shows up on the screen when the health is updated. So if you want it on the screen all the time, you of course can do that. And with that said, let's begin. Let's start by creating some sort of damage system in order to damage our enemies and etc. So we'll begin by going to settings, project settings. And if we look for trace, we can create our own trace channel. And let's call this damageable. And by default, we'll make it ignore. So hit accept. Next, with that done, let's go back into our content drawer and create a new folder called projectile. And in here, we'll create our projectile. So select blueprint actor BP underscore projectile, just like so. Now inside of here, we want to add a static mesh. This will serve as our visual, and I'll do 0.2 on all of that. Okay, so let's also add a static mesh. Perhaps a sphere will do for us. With that, select static mesh and we'll add a sphere collision. And I'll just add the collision bit to it and move that up. Okay, so for this, I'll do size 12. That should fit. Now, the static mesh itself won't have any collision on it. So I'll do collision presets, no collision. But for the sphere collision, we'll do a custom and we're going to use our damageable channel. Now, if you don't see it here, simply recompile your blueprint and you should. So we'll click block, and everything else that has this channel will take damage. Now, next thing we need to do is add a projectile component to this. And if we get rid of collision there and recompile, we should get the values. Now here I'll do 3000. This works for me. So we'll do this both for the initial and the maximum speed. Now for the projectile gravity scale, you want this to be not 1. That's very extreme. We'll do something like 0.01. So barely noticeable. Right. With that, we will go to our event graph. And in here, we can design some of the logic. Now, how I want this to work is that on begin play, we'll have a 3-second delay. And if this actor hasn't been destroyed beforehand, what we'll do is we'll get a reference to self. So get self. And we're going to check, are we still valid? And we want to check, are we valid? Otherwise, if we have been destroyed, we'll get an error. And we don't want that, of course. So that's that. And then we'll do destroy actor. Now, if we happen to collide with something, so get sphere collision, right click and do add on component, begin overlap. So if we did overlap with something, we will cast, or we won't cast, but from other actor, we'll apply the damage, which we don't have yet. So in a moment, we'll do that. But for now, let's grab a print string and we'll just type in hit. And at the very end, we'll destroy this actor. So let's go ahead and create something like an interface so we can damage our player. So in here, we'll go back a folder and create a new folder called health system. And inside of here, we'll do a blueprint interface, BPI underscore health. And the functions that you can put in here are up to you, but we'll get the basics out of the way. So we'll have our health. and you want an output of type float, and this will be your health. You want a second one like this for your maximum health, so max health. There we go, and also a float with max health in it. Next, we perhaps want to heal the player, so we'll add a healing function, and for that you need the heal amount, so how much you've been healed, and then you're going to output the new health. And one more that I'll add would be the applied damage function, and in here you can have a structure if you'd like for the damage amount, maybe is it blockable, can you parry it, and etc. But for now we'll keep it simple. And we just want the damage amount. And for the outputs, we want to know, was it damaged or not? So was damaged. And this will be a Boolean. So that's all we have to do for our interface here. Now, if you have any more ideas, you could pop them down in there if you want. But this is all the functionality I need for now. So let's compile and exit from there. And now back in our projectile, since we have that created, we can do apply damage. And you see this message here. So what this means is that if our target implements this interface, they're going to be damaged. Otherwise, they won't be. So that's very handy for us. Let's do some damage, perhaps 30 on hit. And that's all we have to do here. Now let's go test if we can actually spawn this actor. So exit out of that. And let's go to our third person character. So in here, would be a good idea to have an input. So let's go ahead and create an input to attack. So inputs, actions, we'll create our own IA_attack. Now save it and go a folder back to your IMC default, and we'll create a new mapping for our input action attack. Select whatever key you like. I'll do the left mouse button. Once you're happy, save and exit, and back inside of our player character event graph, we'll do IA_attack, just like so, and we want started. So whenever we've pressed, we want to spawn actor from class. Now the class that we're spawning is the actor we just created, so BP_projectile, and we always want to spawn it. So try to adjust location, but always spawn. So that's the one you want. Now, for the location we're spawning it at, in our viewport, we need to add a scene component to our player character. And let's call it the spawn point. And let's drag it out in front of the player like so. Now, if we get it, we can look for get world transform. And this is the one you want. Cool. Plug that in. And let's give this a quick little test. Now, it won't destroy because it's not colliding with anything that has the damageable trace, but you can see it spawning in. So that's perfect for us. Now, let's go ahead and create that health component. So inside of our content drawer in our health system, go to blueprint class and get actor component. And we'll call this PPC_health. So once you open this up, we want to create the basic variables. So let's create our health variable, call it, or it's a float rather. We want our max health as well. And we want to know, is the player dead or not? And this will be Boolean. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and create the basic functionality. So we can start by creating a heal function. And whenever we heal the player, we want to get our health and we want to add to it the new amount or the heal amount. So drag your pin, plug it in there, and we can call it the amount or the heal amount. And with that, we want to know if, or we want to clamp it because we don't want that value to exceed our maximum health. So while we're here, we can also add a value. And if it's not showing up for you, just compile and then it should. And this will be 100 and 100 for the max health. Right. Now let's get our max health, plug it into there, and we'll set our health at the very end. Now, whenever we're healing or taking damage or whatever, we'll have event dispatchers that notify us, the player, and the UI that we should update the health. So let's go ahead and create our first event dispatcher on healed. And we can call this here. I will be coming back to this and adding a update health function here. But for now, that's all we want. And we'll do a return node. And we want to return our new health. So drag that in there, new health. Awesome. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and create our second function, which will be our apply damage. In here, I want to get my health like we did before, and I want to take away this time. I want to take away the damage I'm about to receive. And here we call this amount or damage amount. And like we did before, we're going to clamp this so it doesn't exceed the minimum or the maximum. That value there. And then we set our health. Just like so. Now, before we do this, we should actually check, is our player dead? So not Boolean, is our player not dead? And if that's the case, well, then we can proceed and go ahead with the remaining functionality. And here we want to check, is the health less than or equal to 0? Because we might be killed. And if this is the true, then we get is dead, and or we don't get, we set it. We set it to be true because we have been killed because the health is below 0 or equal to 0. And in that case, we also want event dispatchers to notify us, have we taken damage or are we dead? So in this case, we'll add on damaged and we'll do on death. Now on damaged is going to go into false, so call that there. And if we are dead, we'll just call it there like that. And at the very end, we want to go into a return node and we want to know, have we been damaged? So like we had before, was damaged. And we'll take that to true. Okay. Right. So with that, we will come back again and add the update function there. But for now, it's okay. So let's compile and save. And let's go ahead and create our UI. So into the content drawer we go, a new folder called UI. And over here we'll create a user widget, WB underscore health bar. Okay, so open this up and in our event graph or our designer, we'll grab a size box, plug that in there, and we'll do override the width and the height to 100 by 20. I like this value personally. Well, do whatever you wish there. With that, we can do desired on screen. So we have a better idea of how it looks like. And let's grab ourselves a progress bar. And this progress bar we can rename to health. There we go. And I'll do 0.5. Now we're not binding it. It's just for me to visualize a little better what the color looks like. I want it nice red color. And in our style, in our background image, we can change the tint to red and make it darker, like so. As for the draw size, we can do a rounded box, and all this will do is give you a more interesting bar. So we need to do that both for the style and on the fill. Rounded box, and there we have it. Looks more interesting. As well as that, we can also add the animation to this. So window, animations, new animation, call it fade. And if we click on fade, we can add our progress bar, which I don't see. Why do I not see it? Maybe compile first and then fade. There we go. Progress bar. So compile first and then I guess you'll see it. So on here, we'll do a plus and we want render opacity. Now at the base value on the beginning, we want this to be 0, so it's not visible. And when we go to like 0.5, we'll change it back to 1. So we get this cool looking effect. And we can play it forward and reverse. So that's all we have to do here. Let's compile and save. And we can get rid of this. And inside of our event graph, we can get rid of these events. We won't need them. Let's do a custom event called fade in. And if I copy paste this and press F2 to rename, we'll do fade out. Cool. Now, if we grab our variable fade, which is our animation we just made, we can do play animation and we'll play our animation here. This will be our forward animation. And if we copy paste, this will be our reverse animation. Next, let's go ahead and create another custom event, and this will be our update health. And in here, this needs to know about the player or the actor. So we'll do actor object reference, and this will call target. Now from here, we'll do get component by class. And the component we are interested in is our health component. Now from this health component, we'll get our health and we'll also get our maximum health. And if we divide these two by each other, we'll get the percentage. So divide. And if we grab our health bar, we can do set percent and the value we'll have from here. Cool. Now we also need to bind on the event dispatchers we made earlier to know when we should update. So we'll do a bind event on healed. And we'll do that for our damaged and our death. I'll just reroute this so we can see it, read it more clearly. Bind event on damaged, and we'll do like so. We bind event on death. And there we have it. Right, so from here, we can give ourselves maybe some more space. And let's do a custom event called onHealthChanged. Now, every one of these will go in there because each of them has a changed health value. Whoops. And there we go. Select everything and press Q to even it out. Now, from here, by default, I want this to actually be invisible. So if we scroll down, visibility, we do this hidden. Now, you have two options. You have collapsed and hidden. The difference being is collapsed, it doesn't take up any space in the UI. So let's say you have a name tag. And if it's collapsed, then your name tag will jump down. But if it's hidden and you have a name tag, every time the bar goes in and out or disappears, the health bar will stay in the same place, or rather the tag. So with that example there, we will get our progress bar here and we'll do set visibility. And we want this to be visible, correct? Next, we'll do a set timer by event. And this timer will be how long does the actual health bar stay on the screen before it disappears again. So this is totally up to you what you want to do. I'll do show height health is what we'll call it. The duration for the opacity we had for these animations was 0.5 seconds. So I'll set this, I want this to be 5 seconds total. So I'll do 4.5 and you'll see why in a second. We'll do then fade out, and I'm getting this from here. And there's fade in. So fade out, and we'll do a delay of 0.5 seconds. So we give it time to completely disappear off the screen. And on completed, I once again want to set this to be hidden. Like so. Hidden, not collapsed. Or you could do collapsed if you want. And then at the very end, I want to do a custom event called reset fade in. And the reason for that is every time we would take damage or the health would change, it would play that animation. I only wanted to play only once when the health bar is not visible. If it's visible, then it won't play. So we'll do a do once. So O left mouse to get that event, and reset will go into reset. And we'll have our fade in playing there. And what resets it is this event here, which we call reset fade in. And there we have it. So that's all we got to do for our health widget. That's totally done now. So let's compile and save and head back to our component where we can update everything. So on the functions, we'll do create health bar. And here I want to create a widget being our health bar widget. We'll promote it to a variable WB health bar, and then we'll return this value, and we'll do health bar. Okay, next let's create another function called update health. And here we'll get this value and we'll do a validated get. And we'll do from the blueprint update health. Now the target, you want to be the owner of this component. So whoever owns this component is going to have this function. And at the very end, we just do a return node. Whoops, it's not what I wanted. Return, there we go. Okay, so with that done, let's go back to our create health bar, and we actually want to call it update health here. Now, the reason I'm doing it here is whenever the health bar is created, I don't want to have to create a second function to update it. It'll just get done all in one. So get owner, and that's the reason for it. So with this done, let's go to our apply damage and get our update health. Have this value, or this function rather, after the health has been set. And in our heal, we'll also do it update health after the value has been set. So with that taken care of, this is our component completely finished, done and dusted. In the next video, we'll focus on creating the player's UI, and we'll create the enemies and other bits and pieces. So with that, I hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. And as always, happy developing.